Hello guys, in this video we are reading, what is the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you? Please consider subscribing if you enjoy the video. I ran cross country in high school. I would lead stretches, meaning that both the boys and girls teams were circled around me. A buddy came up and he pantsed me and grabbed too many layers. At least the girls team got the rear end and the guys got the front. I don't think I've ever been truly embarrassed since. Easily the time I was breakdancing in drama class in grade 11 and kicked a girl in the face. No idea if this is also the case in other countries, but here all shopping carts require a 50 cent or €1 coin to be put in for use. As a kid, whenever I would go shopping with my mum I would return strayed or lost carts and keep the coin. One day I was with my mum in a huge hardware store. I saw a cart in the store, filled with all kinds of stuff, but my kid logic told me, OWH it's probably from an employee restocking stuff, they wouldn't mind if I were to take it, right? So here I am emptying that cart. Planks, cans, the whole lot. I return the cart, collect the 50 cents and go to the kid corner to watch some TV or something. Here comes an employee joined by a very displeased older lady. She starts screaming at me, borderline crying about how mean I am and anything. Then she walks away. I did not dare to go into that store 4 years after in fear of her or the employee recognizing me. I had the Bacchanal buffet at Caesars on my last day in Vegas on one of my yearly trips. I was fine until I got on a plane. I had to shit so bad and it was going to be diarrhea. However, we were racing a storm so the flight attendants asked everyone to remain seated so we could leave. I begrudgingly agreed with my insides on fire. 25 minutes after sitting waiting to take off, they announced we'd have to taxi back and go from the opposite direction for a wind shift. It was another 30-minute delay. Then we finally get into the air and fly right into the storm. It was turbulent and would last another 10 minutes. The seatbelt sign was on, but I couldn't ignore it anymore. Finally went to go shit. I exploded as soon as I got in there. Everyone in the back of the plane could smell it when I opened the door. One guy even called me out on it. Oh well, my fault for eating oysters on a buffet. I was aggressively arrested in front of most of my co-workers and several hundred airline passengers, because slack-jawed yokels of the Boone County, Kentucky court system can't spell and confused my last name with a similar last name. In high school I was having these messed up periods that were extremely heavy to the point that blood kept leaking constantly. I was in English class and something felt wrong and I noticed a puddle of period blood underneath my chair. Then my English teacher called my name to go up and grab my assignment. Thankfully my friend went up and got it for me and also walked behind me to the bathroom. In 8th grade I had a teacher, Mr. Jean. He was 6'3", had to be over 400 pounds and had a lazy eye. Mr. Jean was known for having bottles and bottles of Febreze in his room. Whenever he would smell a student stinking he would stand up out of his chair, go from aisle to aisle sniffing kids and spraying a cloud of mist over the kid that thought he smelled foul. I had forgot to wear deodorant one day and I was lucky enough to be reined in the freshness. I was in high school and we had a prize-giving ceremony during school assembly. My name gets unexpectedly called out, so I make my way to the front of the hall to collect my prize. I'm almost at the front when I have a sudden crisis of confidence and think that I must have misheard them and there is no way they called my name. So I turn around, walk back to my chair and sit back down. My friends are looking at me and ask me what the hell I'm doing, and tell me to get back up there to collect my prize. So I get back up, walk all the way up to the front and then have another crisis of confidence and think that my friends must have been messing with me. So I turn around and walk back to my chair and sit back down. The hall is silent and the teachers are on stage looking at me like I just landed from another planet. My freshman year of college. On my 19th birthday there was a fire in my dorm. I was in the shower when the alarm went off. Had to jump out and right then, a male runs in yelling that we need to evacuate immediately. I grabbed the closest towel I could find and barely covered myself up in time for him to look over. I then had to stand outside in nothing but a towel for over 2 hours while the fire was put out and the building was cleared. The fire was caused by some idiot microwaving tin foil. I couldn't call anyone to come get me, because it was the first week of school and I hadn't made any friends who had a car yet. It was mildly frustrating. I got my period for the first time ever at 10 years old on school camp. No one had ever told me or educated me about it. I was scared and so embarrassed and was using loo roll to try and stop it from leaking everywhere. After a swim I, obviously, had bled all over my swimming shorts. The teacher came up to me and told me that I need to sort myself put, because I was making the other girls uncomfortable. I didn't know how to sort myself out. Thankfully 2 days into this nightmare a kind mother noticed what had happened and gave me some pads. But yeah, worst class camp ever. I was so embarrassed. I was waiting for a friend to arrive at my home. Said friend was having a severe cold. So when the doorbell rang, I ran to open the door and jokingly pulled my shirt up so it would cover my nose and mouth to prevent infection. I pulled a little too high. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is how I opened the door to a baffled salesman with my boobs hanging out. He blushed. I blushed. We stared at each other for a second before I closed the door and hid in the darkest corner of my house. I farted really loud at the start of a French presentation. I shit myself on my 13th birthday coming home from Red Lobster. Haven't set foot in one since, not gonna risk it again. I once had diarrhea in the middle of class in 3rd grade. I was smart enough to wait until everyone left to recess and ask to go to the school nurse before anyone found out. But that memory still haunts me to this day. I was in the 6th grade. They used to line us up after recess and dismiss each class at a time. I go, leaving a couple of girls in the other class giggling at something, so I was feeling confident. I'm walking up the stairs, looking, smiling at them when my head hits the middle partition bar thing between the double doors. My head bounds back with a huge thud and the teacher's like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" I pick up my ego and went inside. I don't know if it's like this in other countries, but in Norway the buses have 2 groups of 4 seats that face each other in addition to regular bus seats. So I was getting on the bus and, because I'm in a rush to find a seat before the bus starts to move, I head to one of the 4-seat groups with an old lady sitting across from me. The bus was very full, so this was the only seat available. But before I got the chance to put my belt on, the bus had started to move, but came to a sudden stop. I plunged forward and I accidentally face-planted into the poor old woman's sizable bosoms. In 4th grade I wrote that I loved my crush in my notebook a few times, and my "see you next Tuesday" of a teacher saw that and decided to read it to the class for no reason. Just to embarrass me. Freaking bitch. I still hate her to this day. She also once shamed my bad art skills by literally taking my artwork in the best artist in the class and saying this is how it should look and this is how it shouldn't. I'm 30 years old, and if I saw her today I would punch her square in the face. The amount of times I've asked for help to people who did not work at the store. Walked into a pole. Hard. With all my school nearby. It was the end of school. I was by myself and felt awkward already and felt the need to say sorry to the pole, and then I realized and then proceeded to say, "Wait, you're a pole." Just kept my head down and walked swiftly on after that. As a kid, I was left-handed, so I tried to deride this kid who was right-handed by saying, "No one writes with their right hand. You're so weird." Turns out, the whole motherfucking class was right-handed. It was so embarrassing. I once said I think Friday the 13th is going to land on a Thursday. I thought I was the only one at work one early morning. There was zero chance any other worker would be there 4 hours. I was listening to loud music on my headphones. Had to fart. Did it. Loud, vibrating, juicy one. Turned around in my chair to see the overnight cleaning lady standing right behind me. She looked quite ill. Junior year of HS, taking a math final. Had been eating a steady diet of cheese sticks and protein bars all day, so stomach was understandably disturbed. Squeaking farts out all class. Because this wasn't my first rodeo, so I knew which were gonna be silent and which weren't. Or so I thought. 30 minutes in, and I make the fatal error. On a hard plastic chair I let loose the loudest, wettest fart of my young adult life. It breaks the silence, and every single head turns. I can feel the heat coming off of my face like goddamn jet exhaust. My teacher just stands up and goes alright, and like a swarm of bees being dispersed, all of the people in the room turn back to their tests. Finished the test and freaking book it. Stripped naked and skinny dipped in broad daylight in this pond that's near the busiest roundabout in my suburb. I'm in P.E. and the idiot time is farting. I got cocky cause the farts could not be heard and they didn't smell. But oh lord no. The universe wanted me to die. As I'm trying to fart more, the loudest fart comes out. The P.E. room has some great acoustic cause the shit was loud and clear. Everyone knew it was me, because the noise came from my area, the middle of the room. To add to the embarrassment, the fart smelt. I farted in a room full of 12-year-olds. Let's just say no kid talked to me the whole day and everyone was laughing at my poor ass. That is what I get for getting too cocky with my farts. The moral of the story is don't fart in front of your classmates. I wasn't very popular in high school, so I never really got invited to the big parties. Well, one day, my friend who was friends with the popular kids got invited to a party at one of their houses and he brought me. A lot of the people who I thought were stuck up turned out to be really nice and offered me free beer. So anyway, it's like an hour into this party and someone's dad owned a pizza joint in the town and had a bunch of pizzas delivered. I was hammered off of like 3 beers, so I chowed down. About another hour goes by and I had to shit really bad, so I told my friend we should leave soon. Unfortunately for me, he was trying to get laid, and as high school teens I couldn't stop him. Plus, he drove, so I tried to pinch it off for another hour or two, but I had a few more beers. This is before I knew what beer does to your stomach, and I needed to shit. Like, it was one of those ones where you can feel it almost poking out from any change in pressure in your bowels. So I went to the bathroom. One person was in there, so I decided to wait, but it was some drunk chick throwing up, so a line started forming and it was nothing but the hot chicks from school. Then it was my turn, but I couldn't look at everyone and be like, never mind, when I just waited 20 minutes to go. I finally got inside and took the craziest dump of all time. Like it poked out of the water, easily 16 Corix. I tried to put soap in the toilet and spray the air, but nothing helped. I left and I could tell the girl that went in behind me instantly knew what happened. She made that disgusted face that you only make when you smell a shit. Anyway, I find my buddy and basically dragged him out of the party and we go home. He was pissed, saying I cock-blocked him. But he and that chick never did anything ever again, so I didn't feel too bad later on. And that's my most embarrassing story, or how I never got invited to another party in high school. I was at my best friend's birthday party 3 years ago. 10 people sitting around having a great time. I hadn't seen one friend for a year and she told me in front of all the people that I have gotten fat. It was really embarrassing. The whole room went quiet and everyone looked at me. I excused myself to use the restroom and heard my best friend telling her that she's tactless. She apologized that I just wondered if something has happened. It still haunts me, because she was also one of my best friends during high school and we had such a great time together. Even though it worked out great for me, started working out and have lost a lot of weight, it still left a big scar. Like, was she just friends with me because I was skinny before? Say that privately. Don't ever embarrass someone like she did. Haven't talked to her since that party, and needless to say, I don't even want to. My 2-year-old brother shat in the ocean while he was with my mum. A while later, 10-year-old me managed to stumble upon the shit while diving and thought it was a sea cucumber. I proudly presented it to my mum. To her horror, before she asked where I had found it, she still won't let me live down the time I discovered a sea cucumber. 16. Hadn't lost the V card yet. Still pretty shy to make a move. Spring break Caribbean W, friends, one of whom I had a crush on. So we go back to the hotel, just us two after being in the ocean. She's in her 2-piece and we are spooning on the bed. Was too chicken shit to even kiss her. Then I feel it coming. Oh frick. 15%. Trying to think of anything to make it stop. 30%. Now she's getting an idea what's happening. Boom, 100,000%. She just gets up and leaves. Obviously then it retreats and I'm there just replaying it over and over. God damn, that was embarrassing. I've shared this story before, but when I was 8 years old we took a field trip to the Field Museum here in Chicago. During our lunch break I decided to wander off to the gift shop and see what they had. I had a huge crush on this girl named Victoria in my class and I saw this ladybug ring on sale for a couple of dollars. I knew she liked ladybugs and I had money my parents gave me to buy something at the shop. So I decided to buy the ring and give it to her. I was really nervous and kept waiting for the right time to do it. I eventually decided to just go for it and walked up to her near the end of the trip. She was with some of her friends, which made me more nervous. But I finally found the courage to do it. She looked at the ring and laughed. Her friends joined her and she then tossed the ring in the trash. I was completely devastated and tried hard to hold back my tears, even though I'm over it now. That completely fricked my confidence with the girls for a long time. Looking back, I may have embarrassed her too, giving it to her in front of her friends, which is why she reacted that way. But whatever the case, it's probably the most embarrassed I have been in my life. Please subscribe if you like the video. It really helps the channel to grow. Adios.